everyone. I'm Ronnie Walter, and welcome to Coffee with Ronnie, the interview. Today, I have Abby Zweifel from Pomelo and Pomelo, a design company.
Yeah, sounds about right.
She does all kinds of really amazing designs and surface pattern designs, as well as full-on illustrations. And I'm really happy to have Abby here. And I just want to say, Abby and I have gotten to be art friends over the years, which is so hilarious. And we don't live super close to each other, but close enough that we can kind of go almost halfway and see each other in person for real every once in a while, every 3 months or so, it seems like. And that is invaluable to me, and it should be invaluable to you if you have anyone in your proximity that you can go and, you know, shoot the breeze with and make each other laugh. I'm a big fan. So welcome, Abby. And why don't you tell us a little more about what you do?
Ooh, well, I don't know. I think you covered it pretty well, but I am, I guess, a studio. I'm technically an agent, which seems weird to say, but I do represent myself as well as 4 other artists, all of whom I have worked with in the past, or I've actually gone to school with. They're lovely ladies. And that's about it, I guess. Until I start getting into the really nitty gritty stuff, which I know we're going to get into here in a minute.
Right. So how did you decide to start representing other people? Because that's kind of a big step.
Do you want the honest answer?
Yes.
Because I just needed a bigger volume of work at trade shows. So I did the trade shows on my own for a while and found that I just needed a bigger collection to make an impact, make people stop by my booth, and actually make more sales to make it viable for me to go to these shows. And so through like sheer luck and just knowing people, I reached out to a couple people. Some people reached out to me out of the blue, asking if I would take their work. And so that's how it's been so far. And I think I need to add another artist. So,
oh, not that anyone's listening.
Not that anybody's listening, but yeah, I might be looking for another artist soon. So
cool. So what is your sweet spot as far as your art goes and the kind of clients that you work with?
Ooh, like the type of clients?
The type of clients, what kind of products does your work normally end up on? Is there a sort of a range of things you normally?
Home decor, really fun stuff like Pier 1, Hobby Lobby, Michael's. I guess that's more paper stationery, but they do have a huge like home section. So yeah, home decor, paper, gift.
Say that again. We have a internet funky thing going on.
Major internet problems. Home decor, paper, and fabric.
Fabric. Okay. Is it mostly like home decor fabric or fabric for home sewers or?
Well, the fabric or the home decor?
The home or the fabric.
I think quilting fabric. So think like Camelot fabric, stuff you'll see in Joann's, mostly that range.
Oh, cool. Cool. And so why did you decide to go this direction? Because a lot of our viewers license their art or intend to license their art. Abby does not necessarily license her art. She sells the designs. So tell us a little bit about that. Like when you say sell a design, what does that mean to you?
Well, we call it selling outright or to buy outright. And I sell the copyright to the buyer. So once the company buys my design, they own the copyright forever. And every location, it's theirs. It's like they did it. My name doesn't go with it in any way, shape, or form. I usually have no idea what happens to it unless I go and like search their website about a year later. I kind of like it because once I sell the design, they pay me usually within 30 days. And I send, the art gets sent out right after the show. And it's kind of nice to just send things out and send it on its way and get paid. And I enjoy working in a variety of styles.
Okay.
So I can do watercolor, I can paint in Photoshop, I can switch to Illustrator vector work and not worry about my style, keeping this one consistent look, because that's what my clients expect from me. I can sort of branch off and try new things and not really worry about it. I enjoy making a variety of work.
That is an interesting, I find that really interesting because it is a bit on the radical side.
Yeah.
So many artists are like, oh, no. I'm never selling my copyright. I would never, ever do that. And I've always believed that it's a situational thing. That if you are the type of artist that can continue to come up with concepts and work in different styles, and it is and the money continues to flow, some of those designs are never going to have a long life. They are an in and out kind of thing anyway. And so to get so protectionist about that copyright, sometimes, I mean, it's totally situational, and I totally respect each way of doing things. I don't think you doing that hurts anybody not doing that. It's a total
yeah, they're two totally like different things. The way I create comes a bit from my background. Can you still hear me?
I can hear you, but you're a little bit frozen.
Okay. Well, it comes from my background.
Everybody's going to be okay with that.
They're fine. They're fine. They can look at my weird face. I have an illustration degree, and so I was a classically trained illustrator. I can paint in oils and all that other sort of stuff and draw, and then I ended up working at Carter's, which required me to create a lot of artwork very quickly. And I just discovered I like to make art pretty fast, and I have a pretty fast hand, and I can pump stuff out, and I enjoy working that way. I don't usually sit on a piece for more than 2 days. Usually things get done within about 2 days. And if it goes longer than that, then there's usually a problem.
Right. Well, that is really interesting. I mean, it is a different way of working. Now, when you present your work, because you're going to Blueprint in a couple of weeks here, and you've been there since the inception of Blueprint. So when you show your work there, are you showing it in collections?
No.
So they're just all one-off. So if they buy a print of something, it doesn't necessarily have a stripe and a dot or anything that goes with it?
Sometimes. But I do keep them separate enough to where if I sold one, I could sell the other one to somebody else, and they don't cross. Like their elements, their motifs, their designs aren't shared. I learned that the hard way.
Right.
Not that hard way, but I've had to like cut designs in half to separate them from a piece that was purchased. That was weird. So now I just sort of put everything on one page. Other people do it a different way, and that works for them. That's just what works for me.
Right. That's really interesting. That's really interesting.
It is interesting because I've always wanted to get into fabric collections, and you have to design in a collection, but it's just that market is so saturated that I just sort of put that dream aside. Sometimes you have to pivot, and the things that you think you want to do or think you're going to go into don't work out, at least right now. And so I put that aside, and I design usually just one-offs. And I find that when if I create things within the same time period, they almost go together anyway, just because it's a color story that I really like, or I'm designing for fall and it's all sort of fall-esque dots, stripes, geos, florals, and they can actually go together. My clients are actually really good at putting collections together with pieces that maybe I created actually several years apart, and they'll see them together. They're like, oh, that works really well. So that happens.
Wow, that's cool. That's very cool. Well, you know, one of the things, and I know Abby's work fairly well, although I didn't realize she was cranking it out at the pace that she is. But one of the things that is so attractive about Abby's work is that and anybody that's listened to me for 5 minutes knows this, the girl can draw. And drawing skills and design skills, but drawing skills are the backbone of much of this. And that's what often elevates a design. You know, if you have three strawberry designs, and one there's with somebody that just goes, oh, I learned how to do Illustrator, and it's not really, you know, well drawn, you know, that is the basis of a lot of this stuff. And so her work has a lot of life to it because that background, you know, that baseline is the drawing, and that's what the structure is that holds this up. The other thing that I've noticed with surface pattern design, and as you said, it is very saturated. There's a lot of people trying to elevate themselves within that space. I have always found that surface pattern design can often not have an emotional component. That they can just feel like, oh yeah, those are strawberries. Whereas when you are, I mean, really when you are working, even though it's something really standard, or it's a plastic tablecloth, or a, you know, wherever that pattern ends up going on, it's not like, you know, high art as far as, you know, design goes necessarily, but you still want to feel like, if it's a strawberry design, you want to feel like, oh, that reminds me of a summer picnic. Oh, that makes me so happy to share my, you know, to put this table together with my family, or whatever that is. So I think that, and that's what I see in your work, is that there's this subtle emotional component without, you know, putting summer fun on something or family all together or whatever. You can do it with the design. And that is a subtle difference in just making objects and putting them in a pattern.
Yes, you have to, have a decent drawing foundation. And I feel like if you don't have a decent drawing foundation, I would suggest getting a sketchbook and a pencil, nothing fancy, and draw every day. Go in your kitchen, find that strawberry, find that banana, put it on the counter, and just spend 15 minutes, that's it, and draw every day. And over time, I mean, you will get better. And that's my advice on that one.
Yeah, it is really, you know, you do get some muscle memory over the years of what things look like.
Yeah.
And, but still that drawing piece is often, you know, because yes, Illustrator and Photoshop can make things cool. I mean, they're a wonderful tool, but they're not the thing that makes this have life and brings the beauty to it. They're just the tool to get there. And so that has to come from you. So, I mean, do you follow trends, or what is your method of sort of generating ideas?
Oh, yeah. Oh, let's see. There are blogs. There is a pattern. It's a Pattern Observer. I think it's Pattern Observer. They send out emails with their trend fashion show catwalk reports. And I don't subscribe to them because I'm a small business owner and I can't afford to buy these trend reports. But if you look at the front pages of them, you can actually get enough information from those emails to see, okay, one that's sort of coming up, I think we'll see a lot in fall, is like a big floral with animal print mixed in, like mixed animal prints within florals. That's a thing. So I've got that in my collection for blueprint. So I do that. And then also I find that with, these are good tidbits, y'all. Places like Target and big box stores, Walmart, they're a little bit behind. Actually, Target, not so much. They've got some cool stuff going on. But if you go into places like Crate and Barrel, Anthropologie, any of your like more upmarket stores, look at their product, look how they're selling it, look at the colors, take note, take pictures. I do this maybe once a month. I'll go to our local mall and just observe and just window shop, which is fun because I love shopping. And even clothing stores as well, their color palettes. And then you'll probably see it that same season next year in those mass market stores. So you can sort of, and I do a lot from that, just going out. Sometimes if I'm stuck on a design or just, I can't get it together, I'll go to our mall and I'll go to Crate and Barrel and like, I'll see something sitting there. It's not necessarily a design. I'm not taking the design that's there and like copying it when I get home, but it might be, oh, they've got this type of like silk plant sitting next to this rattan placemat. Like there's something interesting with those colors there. There's an interesting texture in the leaf, something like that. Like it just will click in my head. I can't explain it, but it's also, I've been trained to do this since about my junior year of college when I actually started working in corporate art departments. So it's called comp shopping.
Oh, that's interesting.
Competitive shopping. Yeah.
Right. And you know, and we don't spend enough time outside our studios. You know, we're all hunched over the drawing table and we forget that there's a world out there. And you do get influences from, I mean, I just spent some time out of town and went to a bunch of high-end galleries and museums. And that is a way to really all of a sudden you go, oh, that plummy brownish purple looks so awesome with that rusty red, you know, or whatever that is, and you start to make those associations. And so I think that should be planned into every person's sort of week, month to get things, you know, you have to fill your cup. You have to fill your cup.
Yeah. I mean, just taking a walk or going to a gallery show, like you said, or a stationery store, any of those things I always find helpful, inspiring.
So what would, like, is there ever a time when you've said no to people when they go, we want to buy this? And what would the circumstances be that you'd go, yeah, no?
I've never said no to somebody who wanted to purchase something. There have been times where I've said yes. And in hindsight, I should have said no because I could have sold it. They maybe offered me a lower price for it. And I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to sell it or not. It was like a new collection. But I wanted the sale, I wanted the new client, that's fine. But then I sort of realized 2 days later that I probably could have sold it to somebody else for the correct price. And that was, you know, they bought 3 of the 4 pieces and I had to get rid of the 4th. It was like a collection of sea creatures and they wanted like 3 of them, but not the 4th one. And so I bought the 3, so the 4th one I couldn't sell anymore because it shared too much of the style of the other 3. So it just kind of goes and I call it my promotional portfolio where I can show it, but I don't sell it to anybody. It's still mine. But yeah, I could have.
Yeah, because some of those become orphans then. They just don't really have a point.
Yeah, they're just sort of there. But things I've said no to are really uncomfortable. I've had a client who, she actually this has happened twice, the same person, have come to me saying, I have this design. I can't get a hold of the designer anymore. I need this reprinted. Can you copy it and do it? And it was like a license thing where the original artist owned the artwork. And it was one of those, I really love working with this person and I really believe in what she does, but I couldn't do it. And it killed me to say no. But if it ever came back and, bit me in the butt, which it probably would,
right.
At some point, that I did not want to be involved in this at all. Because there's a tiny little gut feeling that you're like, this is wrong. Even though how much you want to work with that person, don't do it.
No. I mean, yes, we compete with each other, but we also support each other, and you don't want that happening to you, so you don't do it to somebody else. I mean, I believe that's the golden rule.
It is the golden rule.
Yes. And so, yeah, that is kind of, and then it's an icky, no, I'm just going to say, I should have said this earlier, I'm fighting a cold. So every once in a while I'm like, I sound funny and my eyes are watering. But anyway, plus I'm just so touched to have Abby here with me.
You spit my coffee out.
Oh, good. When someone spits their coffee, I know I'm doing well.
Okay.
Oh, and and when a client puts you in that position, that, it's a slippery slope. It's a slippery slope because for one thing, it implants in your head, like, who am I working with that they think this is okay?
Right.
And you're a little more guarded about, what their gig is and why would they do that. And if it's some desperation measure, and you want to protect them because they may not be the person that made that decision. But on the other hand, that message has to keep getting bumped up that, no, I'm glad you thought of me. That's awesome. And I love working with you. But I can't do this.
That was the exact email, almost word for word. Thank you for thinking of me. This is my gut. This is why. And find somebody else.
So good. I'm glad. So you have been basically freelance. You were at Carter's, and then so you've been freelance for how long now?
I started Pomelo September 2012. So I believe that's 7 years.
Wow.
September, which is insane.
Were there any moments where you thought this ain't gonna work?
Oh yeah, plenty.
Or any points on the middle?
Not so much in the beginning because everything takes so much time to get rolling and you have to change things, and to see the effect from those changes takes almost a year. There was definitely a time, when was it? Maybe it was in 2016, like May 2016 was possibly my last Blueprint show. And then I had a really, really good show and sort of this turning moment that I could keep going. And that was amazing. But yeah, there was definitely some times where I wanted to just shut it down and go be a bartender.
Right. Well, and there's an honor in that. There is an honor in that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, totally. Totally. But I feel like I still have a lot to give, I'm not quite done yet. It's just, I don't know, this whole business is about putting all your fingers in different pies, and you got to find those pies. And so I'm like, got 4 fingers in different pies. I need that 5th. I need my thumb needs to go in something. So I'm still looking for that. So we're all there, guys.
The one thing we know is that there's sort of 3 components. There's the how much work you're going to put into the front end artwork part. How much work are you going to put in the reaching out to people, going to shows, the promotion, all of that? Those are 2 things you can control. We know the 3rd thing is what the market is doing. And that is the thing, as much as we would love to think we cannot predict the market, and we cannot know. So you have a 2/3, none of those of course are equal, but if you are doing what you say you want to do, you have a much higher chance of hedging that market a little bit, because you are aware, you are doing the best work for you, you are paying attention to your clients, you're paying attention to what's going on in the world. So you have to remember that those 2 things are all in your control: how much you reach out and how much work, and to still have a balanced life.
Yes, don't kill yourself. I don't. I guard my time pretty well. Usually,
I know you do, and I
don't. You work way harder than you do. I don't get it. I don't know.
Well,
sorry.
No, well, let me ask you that. Like, how do you recharge? How do you refresh? I
Ooh,
mean,
how I
you're going out to
refresh.
the stores, but what do you do to just go, I need some other time?
I can't anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, I like to bake.
Mm,
That's always a good one.
I have been a recipient of that. That's a fine way to spend your time.
I will say Ronnie's cookies are pretty amazing. Baking's good. Go for a walk. I run. So I run Wednesday mornings. That's kind of how I start my day there. Outside things. On the weekends, we take walks or we go to the beach. I'm looking outside because it's really hot, but it looks lovely out there. I'm
Yes.
also, and I do a lot of things in the Star Wars community that I can be creative, and it's not attached to anything that I do work-wise, which is kind of nice. Most things I do are actually attached to something creative. This is a little bit different. And so that's a lot of fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's good.
If you want to go to these shows and have a successful show, I guess, where you profit from, to me, that's being successful at a show.
Yeah.
You got to show up, which is a really weird thing. I did a print source, quick story. I did a print source one year. Everybody was like, it's our best show of the year. You have to come do the January print source. I'm like, all right, I'm going to do it. It was a lot of money. I did it. I sold 2 prints. I lost so much money. That's the show that almost killed me. And afterwards, I was talking to my fellow exhibitors because they're amazing. My show families are lovely, and I can't wait to see them every year. They're like, why'd you have such a bad show? I'm like, is this your first print source? I'm like, yeah. Like, oh, that's why. I'm like, what do you mean that's why? I've like been in this industry for 5 years. People know me from other shows. I have clients. Because that was my first time at print source. It might as well have been my first show ever.
Wow.
And it was just, but even the people that told me, you got to do print source, it's our best show. Like, I don't know, forgot that fact. I don't know. It was so, I'm not dissuading you from doing print source. Y'all, if you want to do it, cheers. But that's stupid fact. And it's true. It is honestly true. I've had people tell me if a client hasn't seen your booth 3 times at a show, they won't stop.
You know, that's a very expensive proposition.
Client.
You know, now that we have alternatives to Surtex, I mean, Surtex, you know, crazy amount of money. And when people hear, you know, I have to do Surtex 3 times in order to, you know, that's $15,000. You know, how much artwork do you have to sell or license to make $15,000? A fair amount. And so, I mean, yes, you're going to be making it in year 1 and year 2 and year 3, but it always, you know, you hope it grows. But that is a huge proposition, which is why people have to do things beyond shows. They have to be reaching out to clients. They have to get on an airplane every once in a while and go see people. And you kind of have to get over the fact that this is awkward or it's not your skill set. That's doing business, whether you are an artist or making, you know, wooden toadstools. I don't know where wooden toadstools came from, but we could make those, Abby, and they'd be so cute. Okay.
It's the Sudafed.
It's the Sudafed talking, for sure. We're making wooden toadstools. Okay.
All right. So back to your rapid fire questions. I feel like that entire conversation is a whole other show.
Here, this is an easy one. Cake or pie?
Cake.
Oh, yeah, I'm cake. I'm team cake.
We watched a Bon Appetit episode last night about cake, so that's why I'm like cake.
Are you watching? Is that on Netflix? The Bon Appetit?
They have their own channel.
Of course they do.
It's the Bon Appetit like app channel thing. You can also watch it through YouTube as well. They put stuff up on YouTube. It's just easier to search through the episodes on their app. We watch it almost every night. There's so much content. It's short and it's relatable. And man, I will plug Bon Appetit until I die.
Well, you know, and that's one of those things too that, you know, I mean, as far as unplugging, I mean, there are times when, you know, there are a few shows that we watch consistently, but there are times when I will lay on the couch at 10:15 and turn on YouTube and watch people paint.
Yeah.
Super relaxing.
I'm sure it's delightful.
It's a really great way, and it's still kind of creative. It's sort of related to what you're doing, but, you know, I find those kinds of things really good. Okay, this is silly because I already know the answer.
Can't wait.
Favorite movie?
Gee, I don't know. I'd have to say Star Wars The Last Jedi.
Jedi. Oh, so you are very specific on that. Cool.
Yes, it's not, yeah, there's like 10 movies. You can't just say Star Wars. Come on, Ronnie. For the record, y'all, I sent Ronnie all my Star Wars DVDs because she wanted to understand this phenomenon that is Star Wars. And bless her soul, she watched them all, I think, except for the newest one. She's like, these were interesting, and she gave them back.
Well,
which I don't blame you.
What it is that has not engaged me, I don't know.
Which is fine.
So much for you to watch them, so I soldiered on. On.
That's a whole other thing, but anyway, carry on.
I already asked you this question. What's for dinner tonight?
Don't know yet. Haven't been to the store. Yeah, I'm not sure. I got to talk to the rest of the household.
There you go.
We had tacos last night, if you want an answer.
Ooh, that sounds good. I told Jim we need to go out for pho tonight because I need lots of broth.
I'm not a huge pho person.
I like it. It takes a while to eat, so you feel like you're eating a lot, but you're really not. And you come home.
I like ramen.
Calories, yeah.
But I'm not a huge, actually, Vietnamese cooking fan. It's not my favorite flavor profile.
I do like it. I think because when I was in Minneapolis, there's a lot of Vietnamese restaurants. I did acquire a taste for that. But we don't have a ramen place down here, but I could go for that.
I'm amazed you have pho.
I am too.
Like, really?
I kind of do live in Podunkville. Okay, this is a biggie. This is a good question. If you weren't an artist, what would you be?
I would be a bartender.
Ah. Cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's that, or something probably cooking related, but I would have to say I would be, at this point in my life, now I couldn't have said that 5 years ago, but right now I would be a career bartender, I guess is what it's called. It's not just at a dive bar, it's sort of a craft cocktail. There's a whole movement, which is my other passion, which is always weird to tell people. I do this cocktail thing that we absolutely love doing. Not drinking them, but I enjoy learning about cocktails and their history, and bar management I find fascinating. Anyway, cool. I'd probably be a bartender or bar owner.
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, do you have any advice for someone who is sort of in that, I want to do surface pattern design, I have a portfolio, I'm kind of stuck? What would you tell that person?
If you have the resources, I would say do a blueprint show. I say blueprint because it is the most accessible to everybody. It's not that expensive comparatively. It's like a pretty low investment considering what you're doing. It is a really fun group of people that run the show, which I'm not just saying because it's me and a bunch of other people. But the community there is so supportive. We have a Facebook group that once you become an exhibitor, you can join, and it's a closed group, and we can talk about things and share advice and details. And the show itself is very supportive of the exhibitor. So for your first show, I mean, I couldn't recommend anything better than a blueprint show. I say that from the bottom of my heart.
Yeah, I am very happy that show exists. I think the timing of it was perfect. And it seems like this year, have you maxed out the exhibitors that you guys can handle this year, would you say?
I believe there's a few more spaces. I think we're at 160, somewhere between 140 and 160. I haven't quite counted them recently. But I think this will be the max for New York. There is a San Francisco blueprint show, which I believe still has spaces for this October. It's the first week in October. And then next May, we will not be in New York. We will be in San Francisco. So we are partnering with Noted. That is a whole other thing. That's going to be really fun and exciting. It's going to take Blueprint to the next level.
I think that's a fantastic idea. Yeah.
But yeah, doing a show, because that is the only way that not the only way, but it's the most effective way to meet clients, meet other exhibitors, because those friendships that you form will benefit you long term. It's all who you know and who you talk to and help you or help them. You never know, you might find a studio at one of the Blueprint shows. You're like, okay, I did this once on my own. this is not for me. I just want to make artwork. I don't want to focus on, you know, the logistics of dragging my banners, you know, across the United States. And then you can see the different studios there and see which one your style might work for, and then contact them later.
Right. Yeah, no. Okay, so what if a person doesn't have the resources to do blueprint for the next, say, 2 to 3 years? What would you suggest that they do?
I would find your online art community. I know the Advice for Artists, Jennifer Nelson's group is pretty good.
Very good.
I think creating, like, you know, you got your good portfolio, and then just trying to reach out to art directors. I mean, that part is pretty difficult. Like, I found that until I did the shows, until I went, or you could start reaching out to studios on your own. You can go on the Blueprint website and there's an exhibitors page, scroll down and start Googling all the studios. Some of them are just individual artists, but a lot of them, you know, represent, you know, between 5 and 20 artists. And you can kind of start there and see about getting a representation. That's, I think,
well, you know,
I think that's what I would do. That's what I did. That's how I started, was I was represented by Cinnamon Joe.
Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't realize that.
At the beginning.
Well, you know, and that's the thing. I mean, even if you don't end up with representation, that process of presenting, it's sort of like a one notch below reaching out to clients, because it's a little less stressful, but you have the possibility of getting feedback on your book. If you send your work and they say, no, this really isn't for us, you know, sometimes you can say, can you tell me why? Or they'll just volunteer why it isn't right for them. That doesn't mean, you know, you're a dirtball. It just means it's not right for them, but you might be able to glean some information on why. And if you are hearing the same thing over and over, that's in the ding, ding, ding. Maybe I should do something about this. Okay, so Abby.
Ronnie.
This has been super fun. As we said, we will answer questions on the Facebook page. I will put this on YouTube as well. And if you want to reach out to Abby, it's Pomelo and Pomelo.com, I assume.
You can email me there. You can find me on Instagram. It's the same. I'm at Pomelo and Pomelo. Not so much on Twitter. That's mostly for Star Wars garbage, but
I know, that's what it's fun to watch that. And then you will be at Blueprint along with a bunch of very cool people. I'm going to be at Blueprint one day only, Tuesday. So walking around saying hello. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And then when, just between us girls, when you get back, we got to set up a date to go have coffee and solve the world problems.
I know, we're getting through summer month time, so.
Yes, since we live in Florida, it's hot. So
it is hot. It's weird that I'm going to see you in New York.
I know.
You know.
I know. It's always weird. And maybe we get to wear a sweater or something, which is always my dream. Okay. Thank you again, my dear. And we will talk soon. And if anyone has a question, we're here for you. Take care.
Ciao.